Simply put, the barter system in Escape from Tarkov can be overwhelming. There are so many barters, even available at low levels, and once you get into the higher levels and get some tasks unlocked, there are more barters than you can possibly keep track of. Some are only useful once or twice through your whole gaming experience. Things like the mechanic gunsmith items that you need to complete his tasks, or other quest items and keys and things like that that you can barter for. However, there are others that I use every day, sometimes multiple times per day, because they save me money in my raids, or I can actually make money doing them, just a little bit of extra side cash for no work at all. So let's dive into those, my favorite barters. The ones that not only I use a lot, but I think a lot of people overlook. Now, the first few of these we're going to go over are ones that I use every day. Every time I raid, I'm always using these things. I'm always looking for them because they just save a little bit of money and they make your kits cheaper, which in the long run means you can get into more raids. It's just kind of how it works. So the first one of these is the Grizzly with Therapist at loyalty level 2. That's the barter where you can get this from her. It is 1 gas analyzer and 1 UV lamp. Now, when you're looking at Grizzlies, you can see here, there's a couple for sale in here a little bit cheaper, but most of the time they're selling for 30, 35,000. And if you can get them cheaper, great. But I almost always do this barter because I can get the barter for less than 25,000 most of the time. We'll see what gas analyzers are at right now. So they're 14K. We'll buy, that's somebody selling a 4-pack for 14K. So we just got them really, really cheap. That's handy. Nonetheless, they usually sell for about 14,000, 13,000. And then you can get your ultraviolet lamps for usually less than 10. So we'll use those numbers, 14,000 and 10,000. We're obviously a lot cheaper here, but you get your Grizzly right there for that price. And you can do 2 of these per reset, which is usually what I do when I'm doing them. Just gives me them and they're ready to use. And I use Grizzlies for my meds in most of my raids. That's the med that I prefer to use. I enjoy it. I think it's a really good med. I'll leave that up to you. Another med barter that is really good for people, especially at level 1 Therapist, and even beyond that, is the Saliwa Bar. You can do 2 of these with paid, and paid's always cheaper than Saliwas. So right now, Saliwas are probably selling 21, 22, 23,000 for a full one. Yeah, we're seeing 23,000. But when you go look at what a paid is, you can get these things as cheap as 10,000 sometimes. Right now they're 18, but I bought some earlier today for 10,000. So you're getting a full Saliwa for half the price. So the numbers can add up. We'll do 2 here because I have 2 in my inventory, and I'm going to do that anyways. And I use Saliwas sometimes when I'm not using Grizzlies. And now you have extra meds for a lot cheaper than what's on the market. The second one is one that I don't do every day now because I have a solar power, so I don't need to do it constantly, but it is the fuel barter with Proper. Now this is available at level 2 Proper. It takes 2 propanes and 1 fuel conditioner. This will save you in the range of 50,000 rubles per fuel just doing this barter. Right now it's kind of expensive. I usually shoot for about 45K or even less. Sometimes you can even get propanes in the 40 and 39 range. I buy my 2 propanes for that price. And then a fuel conditioner, I shoot for about 38,000, which right now, again, they're a little bit more expensive. But if you just kind of watch these things and get them when they're cheap, you can get a full metal fuel can for right around 130,000, 120,000, which when they're selling it from Jaeger for 166 and usually on the flea market for 170, 175,000, that's a pretty big savings. And you can do this every cycle. So it's pretty easy to keep up with your fuel just doing this barter. Now, this is kind of a group of barters. I'm not going to talk about them in super great detail, but it's the armor barters on Ragman. Now, I'm always doing the TV110 barter. I'm using the M1 barter whenever I need to because you can only do 1 per reset with this. And these are both available at level 3 Ragman. Let me sort that real quick. So M1 rig and the TV110, level 3 Ragman. You're getting a TV110 for like 65 to 75K and an M1 rig for 55 to 60K. These are 2 really good armors for really low prices. Probably one of the best ways to run armor once you get Ragman to level 3. Now, one more I want to bring up at level 3 Ragman is the H-Grid. So this is a class 6 armor. For most intensive purposes, this is the same thing as a Slick, but you can get it at level 3 Ragman, and it'll cost you about 230 to 250K. Less if you're keeping these components yourself and pulling them out of raid, the round glasses, and the Shamaskas and the Ushankas, but if you're buying them, that's what it's roughly going to cost you. Now, once you get to level 4, this is probably one of my favorite barters of all time in the game, right after the SA58 one, and this is the AACPC barter. For about 130 to 150K, depending on what your components are at, you can get this level 5 armor that is fantastic. It repairs well, it has pretty good durability. It's great for running reserve if you're using the mountain extract, so keep that in mind of this barter. It is level 4 Ragman, but it is probably one of the best ones in the game. Now, on the crafting side, there's 2 barters that I'm constantly doing. The first one is with level 2 Jaeger, and it's for sugar, right? So 5 Amelia Rise gets you a sugar, each reset with Jaeger. Now you can bring these out of raid is what I do. If I find Amelia Rise, I take them out of raid. I don't sell them though, because the flea market fee is absurd on these things. You know, if you're selling for 13,000 rubles and you don't have a level 3 intel center, you're paying 5,000-6,000 rubles in fees. Whereas with a level 3, you're paying 3,000 to 4,000, depending on what your skill of your hideout management's at. So it just eats up costs. It's not worth selling these things. But because it costs you, as you can see here, 13,000, 12,000 to buy, that's how I look at it. So I bring them out, and I'll just buy these off of Therapist here. We'll buy them. This isn't really saving money, but I shoot for about 11K, 10 to 11K on these, and you can find them if you're careful. And I just buy them up when I see them. And there you go. You got one barter there with the level 2 Jaeger for a sugar, and you can use that to craft all sorts of stuff. And by doing this, you can actually make things like moonshine profitable, or craft some of your other things in your nutrition unit and actually turn a profit with them. The other side of this is the Therapist barter for sugar. This is 6 pile of meds. Now, if you're going to do this, you need to be buying your pile of meds for about 10K or less. You can get away with 11K. We're starting to see sugar get into that 65, 70,000 range. But this is driven by the price of sugar, hands down. These will always hover around 1/6 of whatever sugar's at. It's because of how valuable this barter is. However, if you're crafting your pile of meds, right now you're crafting pile of meds for between 9 and 10K per med. So you're definitely getting your sugar cheaper using crafted pile of meds than you are otherwise. And then you can make money on your moonshine and some other stuff if that's the route you want to go. Me, I just kind of snipe meds off the flea market when I see somebody listing for 10K. Sometimes you'll see them 9 or 8 if you're lucky, because I know that I can use those to barter for sugar. Now, this next barter is one I used a lot trying to level up my sniper skill and go through some of Tarkov shooter tasks and Shooter Born in Heaven and things like that. And this is this DVL. This is with level 4 skier. And these power filters usually sell for less than 50,000, but sometimes you can get them down cheap like this. Like this one here, 43,000. Now we're going to come in here and we're going to get ourselves a DVL. Oh, I had some in my inventory, so didn't use that one, of course. But now we have a full DVL. This thing costs anywhere from 110, 120,000 on the flea market. I think you can build it for about 100,000 if you build all the parts together. But otherwise, that's the only way to get a hold of one of these things. And good luck getting a hold of one of the Harris bipod mounts, because these things cost a lot. But a great little sniper rifle barter. I used it a ton when I was using sniper rifles, and this is a great sniper rifle to run it with. You see guys like Clean run it all the time. It's just one of the cheapest ways to get it into your inventory. Now, with this barter, and also an attempt to build a pretty cheap sniper rifle, you can barter for a Voodoo scope. Now, these G-Phone X's, G-Phone 10s, whatever you want to call them, they usually sell for about 22, 23,000 rubles. If you can get them around 21, that's even better. Or keep them out of raid and make them, and don't sell them, use them for this barter. But a Voodoo scope usually sells for anywhere from 45 to 55,000 rubles, depending on what you can get. This is just a way to get that a little bit cheaper, because you're getting it for, right now, we'd get it for about 44,000. So you can get that Voodoo scope just a little bit cheaper, especially if you don't have it unlocked from Jaeger yet, and you're stuck paying these higher prices for this scope. Now we're going to hop into some mechanic ones here. And the reason I say that is because he's got so many barters that are great. Another one available to everybody at level 1 mechanic that people can use is this VOG 17 barter. It takes 5 fuses. Now, the beauty of this is before you have leveled up some of your other traders, you don't really have access to grenades. You have a couple of different barters over proper, but you find fuses all over the place, especially if you're looting grenade boxes. You'll get tons of these fuses. So for this, you can get grenades before you have the flea market. Once you get the flea market, this is a cheap alternative for you from other grenades, because I often buy fuses for like 9K. I'll go in and buy them for like 9K, maybe 10K, because I use them to craft VOG 25s as well. But this barter gives you 5 more grenades, often for less than 10K, to give you a little bit more utility in your raids. Now, at level 2, we have the Hybrid 46 Suppressor barter. And the reason I bring this one up is I do use this one a lot. You can use it to make money occasionally if RAM's really cheap. But the bigger point is if you're using the Hybrid 46 for your builds, this is the cheapest way to get it, aside from some of the other stuff I won't get into. But this is, I use Hybrid 46 a lot. It's not the best in class, but it's great ergo, and it has okay recoil reduction for stuff. And you can put it on so many different guns that when you do 3 of these barters each cycle, you have enough suppressors, you can always throw them on stuff. So right next to this barter is the Osprey 9 barter. This is a great barter for 2 reasons. One, it's the best in class suppressor you can run on all your 9mm stuff. So it doesn't matter what it is, 9mm, if you can put this on it, it's a great way to get it really cheap for those builds, whether it's a Vector, a PP19, or a pistol. On top of that, you can actually make money with this barter. Again, this is kind of like the SA58. If I'm remembering it, I'll come in and do this every time, because you can get 2 of these. You come in and you buy 2 drills. Look, we get that one for 13K. Did we get lucky? We did, 18K. So we got 13 and 18K, and we're going to turn those into 2 Ospreys right there. And those Ospreys will sell Again, we got to go move stuff around so that mechanic will see it for whatever reason. I don't know what that bug is all about. But when you go to sell them to mechanic, you sell them for 22,000. So as long as you're getting your drills for less than 22,000, you're making good money. Now, the next one is one I do out of habit, and it's because I've done this barter for as long as I can remember, over a year. And that's because you literally make money doing this. This barter here, we'll see what it costs us. We're going to spend the 18K on 4 of these lenses. That makes us right at 72,000 for a barter for this. So we're 72,000 to buy all 4 of these Nixers, right? And when you go to sell this thing, so 72,000 gets us 108,000 rubles. And you can do this once per trade. The hard part is it's only available at level 4 mechanics, so you gotta be high level to do it. But it's a great little barter, makes a little bit of money. I do it almost every cycle I can, just right with some of the other barters that we'll talk about here. Okay, the last one I want to show you guys is the Bitcoin barter. I'm probably going to piss a lot of people off doing this because they're hard to get as it is, and this is only going to make it harder because more people are going to be well aware of it, but I don't like gatekeeping information. So here it is, the Bitcoin barter. It's out right now. We have 30 minutes. You can see up here, we have 30 minutes before mechanic resets. When that resets happens, we'll, through the magic of video editing, we'll fast forward to that part, show you guys that. But right now, I just want to show you buying stuff for this. Because Bitcoin hasn't reset yet, Tetrises are selling for like 88, 90K. You can get them as cheap as 87, sometimes even like 75K if somebody, it just kind of depends on when you want to buy them. But we're going to buy 2 of these Tetrises right now. We'll pay less than 90K for them. And then the other side of this barter is the green battery. So you need a green lithium battery and 2 green lithium batteries and 2 Tetrises to do this. Now, these are kind of expensive right now. You see these for like the 25K range, 25 to 30K range as well. We're kind of close to the barter, which is why the prices are going up. I'm going to buy them just so I can show you guys the trade when we get done. But I shoot for like 80K on my Tetrises and 25K on my green batteries, which means that you're spending about 210,000 to get a Bitcoin that is worth anywhere from 300, 310, 320, kind of depends on the day. That's what you're doing. So you're making about 100K, 70 to 100K on this barter. But the caveat with it is you've got to do it at the reset. And this is kind of one of those shitty things where you got to camp on a trader. This barter runs out in a couple of minutes. And if you're usually within a minute or 2, you're good. It's not like the black key card that can be super hard to get. But if you miss this by a couple of minutes, you're not going to get it. So if you're super worried about it, make sure you set an alarm on your phone. Or like me, I just have the components sitting in my inventory usually. And once or twice a day when I'm streaming, I'll notice mechanics like 10 minutes from flipping, and I'll just wait for it to happen and I'll turn the barter in then. All right, so mechanic has reset. Now, something to keep in mind is this doesn't always pop up right away. So just be patient, refresh a few times. But as you can see here, we have it. Pretty easy to get. Not even in too big of a hurry. Like if we hit refresh, he's got 723. He's down to 619. It's real fast at first for the first 30 seconds to a minute, and then it slows off a little bit. But we'll go ahead and get the barter. And you'll see here he's 575, and he'll start to go down. So just something you can do. Again, you have to camp the trader to do it. If you don't want to do that, I don't blame you. But it's about a free 70 to 100K each time you do it. So that pretty much wraps it up. That's my list of barters that I use a lot of. I hope they're helpful for you, and we'll see you on the next video.